Hello, Warrior. Hey, y'all. I'm gonna move back a little bit because I'm not in my normal spot in my room because I'm filming this on a very gloomy day and I don't have the natural lighting, so I'm using my vanity light. So that's why I'm in a different spot in my room. But anyway, hello, guys. It's your girl Tia. How you doing? What's up? So today's video is very personal because it's about me. It's about me. So for those who don't know, or for those who kind of know but never asked, I was born with cerebral palsy. And before a month ago, I never talked about it public. If you would ask me, I would tell you. I would talk to you. If you know me, if you asked, I would tell you. But I never talked about it to the entire world to see. Who knows who's going to see this? It could be 5 or 50 people. The point is I've never done this on a grand scheme of this type of magnitude. And it's about time that I do. So I'm going to be very candid with you guys. I've done a video similar to this where I just talk about my life story, and I filmed it 4 times, and it brought up a lot of emotions that I did not know were there about my CP. Cerebral palsy again means CP. So I decided to not post that video because there's some things I'm still working on when it comes to my confidence about my CP. And I just wanted to still find a way to talk about it and my experience without getting into things that I maybe not be ready to talk about so much. So I did ask my Instagram, my friends on Instagram and stuff, if they had any questions about my CP or CP in general that they would like me to answer. So I have some questions. People did ask me questions. I do want to say thank you for those who did ask me questions. It means a lot to me because it means you want to be more educated about CP and you want to be more interested in my story, and that makes me feel pretty cool that you want to know more, especially about me. Like, that's so cool to me. So anyways, I received like 10, 11 questions, but I'm not going to read them in the order that it was sent to me. I'm going to read them in the order that kind of makes sense of my story from beginning to end. I am going to give you a little background of CP first, and then get into the question, and then try to tie it all together at the end, and then leave you with a message. Okay? So, if you see me looking down, I have my phone here. I have information on my phone in my notes, so I have to read off things to make sure I get all the information right, all the questions right, and things of that nature. So, first of all, I'm going to give you a background about CP. So what is CP? CP stands for cerebral palsy. This is a CDC definition, by the way. Cerebral palsy is a group of disorders that affects a person's ability to move and maintain balance and posture. Cerebral, meaning having to do with the brain, and palsy means weakness or problems with muscles. CP is caused by abnormal brain development or damage to the developing brain that affects a person's ability to control his or her muscles. So there are 4 main types of cerebral palsy. Spastic, which is the most common kind of cerebral palsy, and then within spastic there's 3 subheadings of spastic. So there's spastic diplegia, which is what I have. It is muscle stiffness mainly in the legs, and people have difficulty walking because their leg is usually inward or cross at the knees. There's spastic hemiplegia, which means it only affects one side of a person's body. Usually the arm is more affected than the leg. Then there's spastic quadriplegia, which is like the most severe form of spastic, where it controls or affects all four arms, all four legs,
That's true.
your face, and they usually have problems with their vision, hearing, and or speech, and may have seizures. So after we leave spastic, then another huge type is dyskinetic cerebral palsy, which is problems with controlling the movement of the hands, arms, feet, and legs, and it's difficult to sit and to walk. Then there's ataxic cerebral palsy. People with ataxic CP have problems with their balance and coordination. They might be unsteady when they walk, and they may have issues with control. So like maybe writing could be hard for them because they can't like grip the pen or that type of thing. And then the last major type is mixed, where you can have more than one of these symptoms of the bigger ones the ones I just previously mentioned, mixed all up into one, and it's like a mixed form of cerebral palsy. So those are the four main types. Again, I have spastic diplegia, where it only affects my legs. So now we're going to go into the questions. The way that I worded the questions, again, is like in a certain order where it kind of has a beginning, middle, and end. So just bear with me here. So the first question actually says, what is the medical term for the CP that I have? I just said spastic diplegia cerebral palsy. The second question says, were you born with it? Is it something that you can be born with? Yes, I was born with it. Yes, you can be born with it. That's usually how it happens. People are usually born with it. The third question says, why does it only affect a certain body part? Is it genetic? So no, it does not always only affect a certain body part. That should happen to be my case. As I mentioned, the types of cerebral palsy, it can affect different parts, more than one part. So cerebral palsy, there's a spectrum. So it depends on where you fall on that spectrum that determines your symptoms. Is it genetic? Not as far as I know. I've looked that up before, and it says no. Did you ever have a log of therapy to be able to walk? No. Because, okay, so when I was born, I'm in fact trying to find a picture, put it right here. When I was born, my left leg was turned inward, like this. Especially my ankle, like it was like in that way, right? And my right leg was straight. So it took me longer to learn to walk, and this is before I even knew I had CP. I would trip over my own foot, but that's how I used to walk. So I didn't know anything, and I just walked the way I did. It was difficult, but I found the way to make it work. My family worked with me, and I started walking. It was very strange, but I was walking. And then it says, at what point in your life did you comprehend that you had CP? How did your family explain it to you when you were little? So I was not diagnosed with CP until I was 10 years old. When I was born, they told my mom that I either had spina bifida because I also have a curved spine, or I would grow out of my the way my legs were, like they would eventually develop and be normal. Neither one of those things were true. So I did not know what I had and why I walked the way I did. What happened was my mom was watching TV at like 5 a.m. one day when I was 10 and saw a commercial for Shriners Hospital. And she was like, I'm taking you there. We're getting you a consultation. Maybe they can help you figure out what's going on and how to make, walking for you better. Because I do believe that walking for me was more painful before I had surgery. So at 10 years old, I went to the consultation in Philly for Shriners, and they're the ones who told me I had cerebral palsy. They did all these tests on me. I can distinctly remember them putting wires on me and having me walk back and forth and watching me walk through this monitor thing. And it was honestly kind of cool now that I think about it. But they're the ones who diagnosed me with CP. So they were able to perform surgery for me. That goes into the next question. What was CP surgery like for you as a kid? So it was my first surgery that I've ever had and my last surgery that I've ever had so far. So what they did was they corrected my ankle to be straight like this, and my legs were straight now. I was no longer tripping over my own foot, and then my knees were a lot more bent than they are now. So they also did surgery on my hamstrings to loosen up the tightness of it, because my legs were a lot more restrained before surgery. So I don't remember much of the surgery, but I do remember that I was upset because I couldn't do anything for a very long time. And one thing about me, if you guys know me, I'm a very independent person. I don't like people waiting on me. I like to do things on my own. I like to get up and go. I'm a very active person despite having my CP. Like, I did not like to be sat down. I couldn't do anything. I was in a wheelchair. Oh, it was just a lot. It went from a wheelchair to a walker to a cane to nothing. So I made a lot of progress, and they did a good job on the surgery. I'm really happy about it because it did make my life better. Next question says, how does it having CP affect the way you view yourself as a teen/adolescent? My teen years was when I was the least confident in myself at all. That's when, like, as I got older, I started noticing how much I can't do, how much I'm limited to what things that I can physically do. Like, teenagers were learning people around me was learning how to walk in heels, how to ride a bike, how to swim, how to roller skate, how to rock climb, all these things that I can't do. And I was just like, wow, like, this is crazy. Like, so from like 13 to like 17, I was like not the most confident person, but no one knew because I'm generally a positive person and I didn't like to really talk about it that much at the time. When it comes to like my confidence, I didn't talk about that at all. I just kind of like was like, you know what, it is what it is, but it did help me realize my restrictions. So those are also things that people who don't have CP also can't do, but it's easier for them to learn to do those things than it is for me. Like with my legs, I don't have as much control over them as I would like to have. So that's why like swimming for me is hard, because I can't take my legs up that high. I can't control my feet to like pedal and stuff. Like I can't stretch my legs up to like climb stuff. So that's why like a lot of stuff is restricted for me, but your girl makes it work. So don't feel bad for me. Next question says, what is the most shocking thing you learned about CP that you didn't know growing up? This is kind of embarrassing. I just learned what type of CP I had a month ago. I'm pretty sure they probably told me when I was 10, but I was 10, so I maybe forgot. Or, so I just learned what kind of I had, which is I'm kind of embarrassed to say that, but I'm being real, I'm being candid. And yeah, so now I can put an exact name to the CP that I have. I do want to go back to one question someone asked me, how did my family explain it to me growing up? They didn't, because they didn't know. But my family never treated me like I had a disability, which I loved because I didn't want to be seen that way all the time. And they were like, okay, so what? Like, and so like, they made sure I was just as independent, just as outspoken, just as confident as I need to be for somebody who didn't have CP. So it was like, it is what it is. Like, they don't treat me like that. And I appreciate it. They didn't ignore it, but they also didn't like use it. They also didn't allow me to use it as a crutch. Next question is it ever physically painful for you? Yes. So I'm realizing this now, but if I walk for a long period of time or like all day or something, at night, sometimes I have really bad leg pains, and what it is my legs restricts itself, like literally. It could be one leg or it could be both, and I can't stretch my legs out because because I walk with my legs bent. So sometimes with it being bent for so long, it gets tense and it gets stuck like that. So it's not as bad as it sounds, because I can just take a leave or something and go lay down for like an hour and I'm okay. But sometimes that it really hurts because sometimes it can be so bad where I have to like crawl to the bathroom because I can't like stand up. And if I don't have a pill to take, or I don't even like taking pills all the time, I just want to kind of let it pass, it can be very painful. So that can happen. If the weather is bad, sometimes I can have like pains, like, you know. So it can be very painful at times. But I'm going to say it gets really bad every like couple of months. Because sometimes it's not that bad and I'm good. I can just, like, I let it just pass and I'm good. But sometimes it can be pretty bad. But, you know. The last question says, can you drive a car? Yes, I can drive a car. I was learning to drive when I was like 14 and I lived in Virginia, but I moved to New York after that. So then I didn't learn how to drive. I stopped learning. I didn't have to learn. But I do want to learn one day, so that's completely possible for me. So I think that's all the questions I have here. Yeah. So that's my CP kind of story, and that's my, those are the questions that you guys ask. Again, I really appreciate you guys asking. It means the world to me, and you can never stop asking. My last little nugget I want to tell you guys before I end this video is, please do not be afraid to ask me questions about my CP. I can talk about it for days if you ask me, okay? And if you ask, you don't make assumptions, because if you make assumptions, that's what makes me mad. I'm an open book. I talk a lot. I actually get paid to talk. I'm a social worker. But nothing hurts my feelings. It's not going to make me look at you differently. You don't know what you don't know, but if you're afraid to ask, you won't have answers. So please don't be afraid to ask me questions. I am not going to be offended or hurt or whatever. I would rather educate you guys about it than you go out in the world and make assumptions and be ignorant. Because one thing about people with disabilities in general, we are very independent, determined people, and we don't like to be, put in a box all the time about just because we have a disability. Give us the opportunity that you would give a person who didn't have a disability. Ask questions and don't be afraid. So yeah, that's my video. I really appreciate it again. I love you guys so much for this, and I'll probably do another one if you guys want me to. If you have more questions that come up as you watch this video, if you see anything, please ask me, talk to me. I love it. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. And I'm gonna go now. So I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys soon.